Here we go. Do them from the bottom up.
The bottom up. Okay.
Yep. So the last one I gave is the first one we'll start with.
Okay, okay. Oh, we are apparently live.
Apparently.
Apparently, if you hit go live before you open the YouTube live page, it just automatically has you go live. But if you have the YouTube live page open, you can set specifically when you want to go live.
Oh, I guess you didn't have it open.
No, I didn't know. I was trying things in a different order.
Oh, well, that's what happens. Now we know.
Now we know.
Okay, so, hi world.
I need to get links.
I'll just stand here. La 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 la. La 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 la.
What? Hold on. That is not right. There we go.
I think we're waiting for you.
I am quite surprised you're not playing your guitar. Because you always play your guitar.
I do. Okay, so. That should be louder.
Definitely.
Sound different?
Clear.
I'm using a pick this time.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't make it sound any better. That's actually too loud. That's better. See, I like that. I like just strumming with the fingers because it's just more relaxing.
That's an interesting error that I just came up with. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming.
Not receiving.
I don't know what that means.
Is not receiving enough video. Yeah, don't know. Don't know. Definitely don't know.
I don't know either, but we're gonna start because you're strumming a guitar, so we're gonna start. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Stream of Consciousness. Stream of Consciousness. If I can say that. It's a Rubber Mushroom podcast. We're here every Friday. I am TurtleCube. I am here with TurtleDad.
I'm TurtleDad. I'm here with TurtleCube.
And this is the podcast where we just talk about stuff.
Or don't, depending.
Doodle says hello.
Hello, Doodle. I strum for you.
I'm not sure why stream status is poor.
Stream status is poor. How sad. Perhaps it needs like a, I don't know, some type of government subsidy.
This is not enough video. I don't know what that means.
Not enough. That's what the error says. Not enough video.
YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. All of my settings are exactly the same as what they were last week, and I did not have any problems.
Not receiving enough. Well, does it need a... Oh, wait. I know what it wants. No, maybe I don't. There. I'll put on my camera. How's that?
Well, that would only really work if I had your camera up.
Well, then never mind. I'll turn my camera off.
I could
Too
put
late.
you on stream if you really want.
Well, I don't know. Wonder what it means by not receiving enough video.
I don't know.
Maybe it's expecting like the video frames to change or something, and they're not. How would it know?
I have no idea.
That's a weird sound. That's wrong. Okay, wait. And better.
Much better.
So, my friends are nice. Keep me safe. Do not scan.
What?
Those are the things in the privacy settings. My friends are nice. Keep me safe. And do not scan. Sounds like a Jeopardy question. What Discord
What
menu? Do you see the option?
What is privacy settings?
Discord privacy and safety.
Interesting. Well, we have officially started the podcast. Let's start messing around with stuff. And
Right, absolutely.
And,
Yeah. Okay, we'll turn this off now. Get back to work here. Get back to work, people.
how's your how's your last week? Since the last time we chatted.
Since we last chatted, good. Good. I actually went to the office once this week. That was good. Was it once or twice this week? I think it was once this week. Twice this month, once this week. That's it. It was good. Had a good week. Let's see, what else happened this week that was interesting that's not work related? Worked out twice this week, which is double what I worked out last week.
That's good. That's good.
Yep, no, that's really good. I lost a pound. And that wasn't a goal, that was just a side effect of not
Define
eating.
pound.
A British unit of currency.
See, that's what I was wondering.
Aha!
Now, where
No,
did you
I'll
receive
wait.
this pound in order for you to have lost it?
No. Lost a pound of weight, but I wasn't trying to. It just kind of worked out that way. But I did discover something really cool.
Which is?
Dunkin' Donuts now lets you sit there when you have your coffee.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice.
They've restricted the "you are unclean, go away" mandate and have said, look, tables, come, coffee.
Nice. Nice.
So the world is returning back to normal.
Awesome.
I think so.
It's pretty fantastic.
I think so. I just need to find somebody to have coffee with. Where's
Yes.
Mouse when I need her? She's streaming something else.
I think so. I think she's streaming Phasmophobia right now.
Yep. Dang, I missed D again. Keep missing D. How was your day, dear?
It sucked. To put it lightly.
Well,
You ever have something where you walk into work and you're like, all right, this isn't the worst, but it's not great. If everything goes smoothly, it'll be pretty decent. And then like absolutely nothing goes smoothly.
yes.
That was today.
I learned that we're getting new office space.
Oh, that's cool.
That is kind of cool.
In the office or
So
outside of the
probably-
office?
What's that?
In the office or like we now own this one this one room in a totally different office.
Oh, no. We're getting a bunch of office space in a totally different building, but not far away from our current building.
Oh, you should just move. The company's moving buildings.
Not even moving. It's keeping its current place, but just adding more.
Ah, okay. It's just growing. Company is growing, so it's
Yeah, growing,
expanding.
definitely growing.
That's good. That's always a plus when a company grows.
I think so.
Usually that means it's because it's doing a good job.
It means things are at least going in a good direction. Yes. So.
Which
So
usually things only go in a good direction if people are doing a good job.
Yes. Well, actually, everybody's really motivated about this. We want to get this product out. I think there is a lot of team spirit. Everybody pulling in the same direction. I really think it's a small company, relatively speaking. So, but I just think there's a lot more team effort, teamwork at this company than I've seen in a lot of companies.
Well,
And even
that's
though there's
always good.
stress and there's always some of that, everybody's professional and everybody's like, okay, we got to get this done. Let's go. Let's do it. How can I make your job easier? How can I help you? And I think that pays off a lot.
That's good to see. That's really good to
Yeah.
see.
And it's professional but not stuffy. We joke around enough to have fun, but not enough to get sloppy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's all a good combination.
That's always a good balance to have.
Yeah, no, it's a good combination, I think. So.
So what are we talking about this week? You have sent me links this week.
I have, but I have to whine and complain because the contractors I'm trying to use for the work we're trying to do are not getting back to me.
What?
Okay, so to all you contractors out there in the world, please call potential customers back. What is it with not calling people back? Text, send email, something. Tell me you're alive.
Happens a lot.
It does. It's like what is this?
It seems to be very bad like two-way communication a lot of times.
Yes, I don't, and it's just like, okay, if you don't want to do the work or can't do the work or just tell me. I'll call you again later if I have more work, but maybe they don't want to lose the potential work, but they're going to lose it because I got to go move on. I got to get this job done.
Maybe.
Anyway, I'm venting because my contractors aren't calling me back.
Have you called them?
Several times. Text and voicemail and email and...
Have you shown up at their house?
I have not done that. That's called stalking. But...
Well, it's not stalking if you've, like, been there before.
Can't get D. It can't go from G to D. It's really tough.
Like, if I personally know the plumber that I'm trying to contact and he's not responding to me, showing up at their house and being like, hey, why aren't you responding to my text? That's not necessarily stalking because you personally know them. I think it'd only be stalking if you don't personally know them.
Oh.
Or if you're really creepy about it and you just, like, watch them.
Hide in the bushes.
And, like, track down their address. But if you know them personally and you've been there before... Yeah. I don't think that'd be stalking. I think that'd be just be like, hey, why aren't you answering me?
that now constitutes a simply surprise visit.
Exactly.
Good to know. So if you know someone, you can't stalk them. You can only surprise visit them.
Well, you can't. I think it is intention.
Intention. Oh, okay.
Also, usually stalking. At least from my understanding of it, you don't go up and have a friendly conversation with them. You're, like just watching or taking pictures or recording without them, being aware of it or being consensual of it. And just going up, knocking on the door and saying, hey, can we chat? That's not really... You'd never heard of a stalker just walking up to somebody's house and going, "Hey, can we have a conversation? I have a couple questions for you."
No, no. Usually they're looking in the window with a telescope.
Exactly.
Okay, I see your point. Well, I did see something in the news today that I like, but I can't support.
Why?
Because the Missouri governor, I just don't think it's right.
But you like it.
I like it, but it's not right.
Like it, but
Is that,
it's
is that, is that possible? I guess it is. We like a lot of things that are wrong. That's very possible.
I guess.
Well, the Missouri governor signed a bill nullifying federal gun laws.
What does that
And while
mean?
well, I think what it means is he's saying the federal gun laws don't apply here. And while I'm a big fan of states' rights, I don't think a state can do that.
Yeah, I'm
Right?
not sure.
I mean, it's kind of like take a federal law and yeah, just we're not going to agree with that one. I don't know. It's kind of like back in 2016 when all those cities said we're sanctuary cities and we're not going to turn illegal immigrants over to ICE forces or whatever, right? It's like no, it's a federal law. You're supposed to, if you come into the country illegally, you're supposed to be reported. That's the law. And the city said no, we can't do that. Well, I couldn't get behind that because I'm like, that's wrong. So even though this governor's doing something I kind of like doing because I think a lot of the federal gun laws are stupid and unnecessary and restrictive, I just don't think it's right for a state to go, yeah, we're just not going to buy into that. You know what I mean? I think I got to be consistent.
Yeah. No, I think I get what you're saying. I think I get what you're saying.
It's like stop at red lights. Oh, except here, we don't have that law. No, that's a nationwide law. That's you have to obey it. Like I don't know. It just seems
But
like
I mean, but technically, following traffic lights are only laws statewide.
well, then pick an example that's federal and do the same thing. It doesn't matter. I mean, I just don't think a state can nullify a federal law. But I think the problem with that is I think the federal government has overreach then. Right? It does too many things that it should let the states decide. So it's one of those. I can see both sides of this one.
Interesting. And bring up the article here real quick so people can see what you're talking about.
So the state law would ban law enforcement agencies from enforcing the new federal gun laws, following proposed rulemaking from the Biden administration to regulate firearms with stabilizing braces. So whatever the new gun laws the Biden administration put in,
It's literally banning people from enforcing a federal law.
right? And I don't think you can do that.
I mean, the federal government could still enforce it. This is just banning statewide.
I don't think you can do that.
I'm not sure you can either. That'd be one of the. This would be one of those laws that's like when you see it, you're just like, all right. Well, how plausible is this actually? Will this ever actually come into, fruition? Will something ever come of this?
Now but it's interesting on how the governor did it. He didn't just say "poo-poo on you, we're not doing it." He created a law in the state called the Second Amendment Preservation Act.
Yeah.
Which says that it's the duty of the courts and law enforcement agencies in Missouri to protect the Second Amendment rights of citizens. And it also said it declared federal laws that infringe on that right null. So he's arguing, well, we have our own law that says we have to uphold the Second Amendment to the Constitution. This infringes on that. So since it's against the Second Amendment of the Constitution, we don't have to follow it.
That's interesting. That is a very interesting way to go about it.
Right? So it's kind of like, I see what you're trying to do, but I'm not so sure. I don't know. It's interesting.
Granted, nothing will come of this unless the federal government decides it really wants to enforce its own laws.
Right. No, totally right. Totally right. So it's all kind of moot. But I don't know. It got me thinking. I was like, I don't think we can start doing that because if you start doing that, then the whole rule of law thing breaks down,
Yeah.
and you can't have that. But I don't think we have clear enough lines between where federal laws and laws start and end.
Hmm.
And I think that's an ongoing and continuing problem. Like I said, I'm a big fan of states' rights. I think states should be given more power, not less. On the other hand, I don't know.
The balance of power is always a very, very difficult thing to figure
Yeah,
out.
and then,
Because you
as I
never want
say
to
that,
give
I'm thinking of
anybody
can't
too
do it
much.
well.
You never want to give anybody too much, but at the same time, you don't want to give somebody too little because somebody with slightly more can greatly overstep somebody that doesn't have enough.
Right, and the federal government is supposed to kind of keep things even throughout the country and keep a consistency.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't have oversight in certain things, can it do that? I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of. I don't think it's cut and dry. But anyway, so I just thought that was interesting. That's definitely worthy of some discussion and debate somewhere.
It also seems like that law is very, very situational because it's a Second Amendment Preservation Act. And pretty much that means that the Missouri courts have to decide on a case by case, um, timeline of what counts as infringing on the Second Amendment and what doesn't.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Which, in a way, that might be better because it's not like, okay, this is just black and white, yes and no, da da da. It still just kind of does delay certain things.
Well, the problem is the philosophy of the lawmakers has changed greatly, and there's a huge divide in this country
Oh,
about on
yeah.
the different philosophy lines. We've talked about
Definitely.
that, right? So when you've got a liberal federal government like we have right now, it's really not going to put too much emphasis on protecting individual rights. That's not what liberals do, unless
Mm-hmm.
you're a particular special interest group that they want to protect. So it's all, I don't know, it's all wishy-washy mixed together, no consistency. That's what makes it hard.
That's the government for you.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so although I like what the governor of Missouri is doing or trying to do, I don't know. I like the way he went about it, though. He tried to do it as a Second Amendment protection, which obviously the federal government is trying to tear down the Second Amendment. That's pretty obvious. So I kind of like what he's trying to do, but
Yeah, I get that.
yeah.
Would you ever want to be. Would you ever, at some point in your life, just like totally, totally hypothetical scenario, if by some random chance the opportunity opened itself up to you that you could be part of the group that decides what is law and what is not, would you join?
You mean like a lawmaker?
Yeah,
Like a member of Congress or something?
yeah.
Um, no, not a member of Congress because I don't think you can do anything. I don't think individual congressmen can really do anything. It's too much of a system now. It's too much of a you got to be in the right group, in the right political things. I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like congressmen really have the job they're supposed to have. It's too much fighting. I think it's more fighting than governing.
How would you suggest that is changed?
Everybody in Congress gets removed, and you elect a brand new set of people.
How would you suggest that that is done?
We are on the next election. Nobody that's currently in office can rerun for that office or any other office. No incumbents can win
Okay.
election. So that would force all new people in.
How would you get that to happen?
You can't. It's not possible. It would
So
have
you're
to be
giving
like
me all
someone
these really interesting hypothetical scenarios, and then you're just like, no, it's a complete failure. It's never gonna
Well, I
happen.
mean, you really in our electoral system, you really couldn't, right? I mean, theoretically, if you convince the population that the only way to improve the government would be not to elect incumbents, then yeah, you could accomplish it in our system. But how are you gonna convince the entire population of that? There's some people that actually believe that the people in government know what they're doing
You don't
or have their
have
best
to.
interest
You
in
don't
mind.
ever have to convince the entire population.
You got to convince enough.
Yeah, not the whole
Yeah.
thing,
So
though.
right. Well, no, it's not the whole thing. True, I got to convince enough of them. I don't know if you realistically could.
Why not?
Well, if I could, if you say how could I do it if I had a superpower, that's how I do it. I'd
No,
convince
I mean like
everyone that.
this is one of the problems that I have when a lot of people talk about politics and when a lot of
Mhm.
politicians talk about stuff is they have all of these ideas and this would help with this and this would help with this and we should do this and we should do this and we should do this and then as soon as you ask okay how do you do that what are your action steps how would you go through 10 how long would it take for this to take place what is your plan to get this done and nobody ever
Mhm.
has an answer for that.
Well, that's not the question you asked. You asked how I would get it done.
That is the
But
question. That is exactly what I asked. how
if,
how would you
if
accomplish
you're
that?
asking what would my plan be to get it done,
That is what I asked. How would you get it done? What is your plan?
then I would say we'd have to mobilize. We'd have to mobilize a lot of grassroots forces to convince the population not to reelect incumbents.
Okay.
It would have to be a grassroots effort, not something I could personally do, but I could stand up and shout about it and enlist hundreds of thousands of people to help and say, okay, we have to start grassroots efforts so that people don't elect incumbents and have to do it on a large enough scale that it makes a difference
Mm.
before, and then the change you're talking about could happen. It's the
Okay.
only way I can see it happening in our system.
Now, why is there a difference between me asking what would you do about it and what is your plan?
When you ask what would you do about it, it sounds like you're saying you acting singly and alone, how would you fix it? Where when you say what is your plan to do it, you're saying, okay, put forth a plan using any parameters you want on how you would fix this. So there's actually two different questions, all differently interpreted based on how you phrased it.
Now, see, because for me, those are very, very similar, if not the same.
Well, there's a difference between what you say and what your listener hears.
Well, true. That is
There you
very
go.
true. But when somebody says if somebody says to me, "What would you do about it?" I
Mm-hmm.
give my personal plan. This is what I would do. I would try to start a grassroots movement, get people to help me recruit other people to da 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 to get this done.
Yep. Well, it also is because you asked the question as hypothetically, which kind of implies
Well,
loosen the
hypothetically,
parameters of
because I don't believe that you'll actually go forth and do this because you talk about it a lot, but I don't know if you would actually do it.
Well, hypothetically to me implies kind of, and this may be the implication I read into it. It may not be what the word means, but it kind of implies unhitch from realism and tell me what the solution would be. So unhitch from realism, okay, I can just kind of take some huge steps and magically use my superpowers and do it. I mean, the end result would be the same. You know, if
I
I
was
could, if I
kind of
could
using,
use
yeah.
my superpowers and will people to do something, this is what I'd will them to do. Now, how would I realistically do it? Because I don't have a superpower. Well, okay, we'd have to use this other method here.
Alright, that I will give you. My definition is hypothetically is usually just a ignoring how long things take to happen. What would you do?
Right, and so
Because for me, hypothetically, if you ask me, okay, what would you do? I would start laying out a month by month or just like a really long term thing. But if you say hypothetically, I just skip to the end and
right. No,
tell you what that is.
I think a better way to phrase the question would have been something like, okay, given the situation we're in and how slow things change and the system we have and all the difficulties you're coming across, what would be a realistic plan to see the outcome you're talking about?
I think what I did need to ask is what do you have a realistic plan for
There
this?
you go. Yeah. And I think the only way to do that is grassroots. Grassroots can accomplish a lot.
Now, please define grassroots.
Grassroots is not expecting your congressman to do the work for you or not expecting your representatives to do the work for you, but to go door to door and get neighbors interested and start small groups and start local community groups with the intent of organizing people around a cause, and you have that cause grow into bigger groups to the point where you've got a critical mass that you can start affecting things.
Okay.
That's kind of a grassroots effort. And I think it comes from the saying, grass individually is a very little thing, but altogether makes a huge lawn. So that's kind of a grassroots effort. They usually take a long time to pull off.
Yeah.
Because 10 really dedicated people, 10 of them aren't really going to do much. But 10 that builds another group of 10, that builds a group of 100, that builds a group of 10. Now you've got something.
Yeah.
But it starts when those 10 blades of grass started to grow. So that's a grassroots effort.
Okay.
And they are powerful, and I have actually, thought about, what would it take to do that? Would I actually do it? I don't know if I'm politically motivated enough. I mean, you're talking a big time commitment, a big life commitment. You really got to want this thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
That was a sports car.
That was a sports car.
Personally, I think that more people should make political commitments.
I kind of do too. But no, go ahead. Finish what you're saying. I'm sorry.
I think it would be very beneficial to many different institutions and just many different things in general if more people got interested in politics and didn't just say, "Oh, we'll just leave the politics to the politicians."
I agree with you. I really do agree with you. And I think it becomes a return on investment sort of thing. It takes so much effort and so much, and you start to wonder, is this really worth it? Is what I'm fighting for, is this really worth it? Or am I just wasting time I'll never have with my family again, wasting time I could be doing something I enjoy more, is it really worth it? Because it takes so much effort to do it.
What is it?
It is anything you are really dedicated to or think you're dedicated to.
Isn't that kind of the whole point?
Well, there's I'm dedicated to this, and you say that at first when you don't realize what's really at stake or how much time it's going to take. And then you start to realize and you go, gee, am I really that dedicated?
So, really, what we need to do is find out a way to motivate people to stay dedicated to things.
Yes. Yes. Yes, that's the tough part.
Okay.
I think that's the tough part.
Oh, I meant to go... we'll do that later. At one point, last month actually. I think it was the last episode on Twitch.
Yeah.
We discussed talking about some philosophical questions.
Ah.
And then they never ended up coming up again. So I gotta go track those down and ask you them.
Okay. I did learn today that Isaac Herzog was elected president of the state of Israel.
Okay.
Do you know what the president of the state of Israel does?
I only do because you told me earlier.
Pretty much nothing. But it's interesting.
Kind of like our current vice president.
Kind of like, yeah, right. It's interesting because he is he's a little more on the, well, first of all, the president of Israel kind of acts, I think, and I'm not an expert on Israeli politics, but kind of as a cheerleader or as an organizer. He's not the prime minister, for those of you who are confused. We're not talking about Netanyahu. We're talking about this guy, Isaac Herzog.
And pull him up on screen.
And he's kind of like we don't really have an equivalent in this country. He's a little more powerful than like the Queen of England sort of thing. But he's certainly not at the power level of the Prime Minister of Israel. Who, by the way, is in political trouble.
Yes. Yes.
And that's going to be interesting if Netanyahu gets replaced. Because he's going to get replaced by somebody who is very much on the other side of the aisle from him. Netanyahu tends to be a more conservative, defend Israel sort of guy. And I think his opponent would be what we would consider more on the liberal side. Let's just make friends and get along because, well, if we're just nice, everybody will be nice to us.
Israel has tried that in the past, and it hasn't really worked.
It's worked terribly for them. But I think that's who Netanyahu's opponent or potential replacement is more on that side. More let's be friendly to Iran, things will go better if we pacify them sort of philosophy. And what's dangerous, I think, is that in combination with Biden would open up a huge political problem. Because Israel was kind of keeping the U.S. in check when it comes to the Iran deal and trying to reestablish that terrible deal we had. But now, if Israel changes governments, there's nobody to keep the U.S. in check. So Iran could end up winners big time in both of these situations. So that was interesting. When I saw this guy won, I'm like, what's happened to Netanyahu?
It's interesting.
Israeli politics is even more confusing than American politics.
Yes.
They have like, I don't know, a dozen parties? They have a bunch of parties.
Well, we should have more, honestly.
And they're half the size of New Jersey. Come on. Hey, I got it. Actually ended on the right note.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. First time tonight.
Awesome.
But it is kind of interesting. I don't know. I kind of find this stuff kind of interesting. Like watching what's going on and how the world turns, and you can almost predict what's going to happen.
I mean, just look at the history and just kind of copy paste things.
Right? Yeah, really. Copy paste from 1967 till now. I'm still not sure if Netanyahu's going to get replaced. I think he is.
I am kind of morbidly curious as
Did you say
to
morbidly curious?
yes
Oh, of?
of what would happen if Iran did get nuclear power.
Oh, they would probably try to use it on Israel.
That's it.
That's significant.
I was
One bomb in the Middle East is really close together.
yes. No, if they used it on Israel, they'd been damaging themselves.
They, I don't know about themselves, but they would take out a couple of Arab states anyway. I guess it depends on how big the bomb was, but
Mm,
it wouldn't go well.
no.
I don't think it'd
Also,
be good.
I'm not sure if I were one to want Israel gone, I would want Israel gone and me there because that is a very prime piece of real estate.
Oh, it is a good piece of real estate, yeah.
I would not ever want to destroy that. Take it over and use it for myself, yeah, but not destroy it. It'd be like going up to a castle and seeing like this wonderfully defensive castle and being like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna knock the whole thing down. You know, we could use it to like as like a stronghold and a forward camp and use it as a launching point to launch. But nope, we're just destroying the whole thing, tear it all down brick by brick, and then we'll continue on our military endeavors. It's kind of not really a smart idea.
Well, that's what Hamas does, though. In I want to say 2010 sometimes, when Israel gave up the Gaza Strip completely and the Israeli military went in and actually physically removed Jewish settlers who had been living there for years as part of a land for peace deal, one of the many deals Israel made in its history.
Mm-hmm.
They basically just abandoned their houses. They forced these people out. The military went in, took the Israeli citizens out, relocated them, and gave the land to the Palestinians, to Hamas, basically, who took it over. First thing Hamas did, they burned everything.
Yeah.
Completely functional buildings, burned it and destroyed it.
Which, whether or not that somebody does that, whether or not a group does that, whether or not a leader does that, that does not matter. I personally see that as completely backwards and making no steps towards progress. If you want to control an area, why destroy it?
Well, exactly, that's my point.
Doesn't
Why
make
destroy
sense.
it? Yeah. So I don't think they would do what you're saying. I don't think they care about preserving Israel to take it over. They would rather see it destroyed.
But in my mind, that does not make sense. If I were wanting to even if I were wanting to wipe a people off of the map, why not keep where the people are?
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. It makes more sense. I think we'll get rid of you, but keep your house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get rid of you, keep your house, and put somebody who likes me in your house. There you go.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Ah, what interesting times we live in.
Not irradiate the Dead Sea or whatever.
That might not go well.
It's just gonna happen if they nuke Israel.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be a problem. That'd be a problem. Here's the thing. I don't know if Russia would allow Iran to do it. Because Russia has sway over Iran, and Russia's not stupid.
Yes. That is true.
Vladimir Putin is not a stupid man.
That is very, very true.
I don't know if he would let Iran do that or step in and go, no, you can't go that far. You can't do that. I think he would do that. In other news,
before we go on to other news, I have a question for you.
Oh, before we go to other news, okay.
Yes.
What?
Are games happening tonight?
Oh, games! I forgot about that.
Me too. I was just asked.
Who just asked?
Mouse.
She
says, "Is this still happening or no?" And I totally forgot.
Yeah, but I don't know Morse code.
Still haven't learned Morse code?
I haven't really had a chance to learn Morse code.
That is very disappointing.
I am disappointed. All right, no. Tell her no, I want to learn Morse code first.
All right.
But I want to know what you think about all the UFO sightings.
What do I think about all the UFO sightings?
Yes. Take it, Bob.
Um, I will. They're sightings.
Yes.
Mouse says, "See you next year." Then.
So you know, for learning Morse code.
Yeah.
There's an app for that. I bet I could learn Morse code in a couple of weeks.
Possibly.
Oh, fine.
I would like to try and find a game that like a 4-player game that we can play at some point.
Okay, like a card game or like a
I don't know,
tabletop sim game or
something that we could play. I don't know exactly what. I was at one point I was thinking Open TTD, but that it's usually a much longer form game than just an hour.
what's TTD?
It's a transport tycoon thing.
Oh, you told me about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty much trying to become a capitalist with transportation.
Yeah, that didn't sound too interesting.
I think it's fun.
It's fun. Okay.
I think it's fun. But as I mentioned, it's a much longer form game. It's hard to do like a 1 or 2 hour snippet of it. So I would like to find something. Ooh, that could work. That could be kind of fun. Alright.
I think I could learn Morse code quickly. I think I'll give it a try. So I think, yeah.
Sorry, go back to what you're saying. I'm still thinking about UFOs.
I'm also thinking about UFOs. I think it's interesting that the government is admitting, yeah, we've taken these pictures and we don't know what they are, and we've got years and years of them. I'm just wondering why they all of a sudden thought it was a good idea to start talking about that. I don't know. Just curious.
That I have a couple of different theories on that. What I think of UFOs themselves,
Or NFO, mysterious flying objects.
I think that they are. I don't know. I think they're definitely technology and not just some sort of rock or whatever, but it could just as easily be something that China or Russia has made as it could be an extraterrestrial.
I think yeah.
I highly doubt it's an extraterrestrial. But I mean the possibility is there. I think it would be very interesting to see how the dynamics of the Earth changes if it was confirmed to be an extraterrestrial.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
How would people change if you had proof of that? But
we could all be
NASA
racist against aliens.
What's that?
We could all be racist against aliens.
Oh, that would work. Okay, that would unite us. You always gotta have something to unite you, right?
Exactly.
Well, we talked about that's a different topic altogether.
What?
But the new NASA administrator raised doubts on the idea that the objects caught by the U.S. Navy pilots recently, not caught by, but caught on radar or
Yeah.
quantum instruments. He raised doubts on the idea that they were just optical illusions, as some were saying. In an interview, he said that even the highest authorities of the space agency, it isn't clear what the flying objects caught on tape are. Um,
I have. Sorry, keep going. I'll
well,
mention this
basically,
after.
he's just saying, look, we don't know what they are, but you can't claim they're optical illusions, not by the way the pilots and the people tracking them describe them. He's like, their movements don't make sense. They're not moving like in shadowing something. They're not moving like a reflection. They're
Mm,
not moving the right way to be optical illusions. Was his point.
yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
You asked me earlier why I think they're releasing this now,
Yeah.
and I have three theories.
What's that?
The first one is to distract people.
Okay. What are we
The
distracting? What are we
the
distracting them from?
the government's like, all right, we need to distract people. We need to get them off of specific, inconsistencies with either the government or with certain political parties, or with just have them stop thinking about this issue
Yeah.
and start thinking about this issue, and just kind of being like, all right, you know what, just release that, and just kind of be like, whoa, bombshell, here you go, have this, and it'll push other not as exciting things under the radar. I couldn't say exactly what is being distracted from, but it is a very obvious distraction tactic that's used in many, many different circumstances by many different companies and people to be like, okay, there is this issue that is persisting. In order to get people off of that issue, we throw them something that is much shallower but way more eye-catching.
Now there's an interesting and potentially useful idea. Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that idea's been around for decades.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Um.
So
Yeah,
that
it's not.
is
Yeah, it's not really all that. I don't think so because it's not really all that eye catching. It's only eye catching to some. It's not really, not
right,
really. This isn't talk of the town. This isn't captivating millions.
right.
It's kind of.
But it is kind of just distracting some people. Like, hey, this thing is
Yeah.
over here, which is why I have two other theories for it.
Okay, what are the other theories?
My second theory is that there is currently a lot of negative press about conspiracy theories. Conspiracy
Right.
theories, no matter what they are evil. I've even heard certain people say that anybody who believes in a conspiracy theory is wrong about everything. There is even one person who was very quickly shut up on the internet, who said that anybody who believes in any conspiracy theory should be re-educated.
We send them to the re-education camps. Those are coming too.
Mm.
That's my conspiracy theory. Anyway, okay.
Um,
So wait a
but
minute. How does this play in with UFOs?
well, there's a lot of negative press about certain conspiracy theories. I personally think conspiracy theories are a very good idea because are good to have around, because whether or not they are true, it proves that people are doubting the information that they're given, which is good because that implies critical thinking.
Okay.
Whether or not it's actually true is, up for debate, but the fact that you are coming up with this crazy idea that's purposefully going against the common narrative shows that you are critically thinking, and you are finding evidence for something else. Whether or not you're putting that evidence together wrong, that's different. But the idea that conspiracy theories exist, to me, is a positive thing.
Okay, that's
And
interesting.
I think one theory could be that there are some people in NASA that agree with that, or there's some people that agree with that and talked to NASA and said, hey, you guys do have some evidence that gives light on some conspiracy theories and shows, hey, they're not completely, out of line, saying that it's not just inanimate, like just, plastic or whatever. It's an actual vehicle or whatever.
Right.
So show that to give certain conspiracy theories, yeah, this could be somewhat viable, but just leave it at that. Make it so, give people a reason not to hate conspiracy theories as much. That is probably the least likely theory as to why they were released, but I think it is still a possibility. Because you never hear the background stories as to why these things were released. But it's totally possible that some people who knew people in NASA were having a conversation about this and they decided to do it.
Yeah, I guess I'd want to know. Well, yeah, I hear your theories.
My third theory.
Okay, that's right. There were three, weren't there?
My third theory.
Yes.
Is that NASA has absolutely no idea what to do with this. They have no idea what to do with any of this information. And they've had this information with so long, and they've gotten nowhere, and they've finally caught up to the times and gone, the internet exists. Let's just release these and see if they solve anything that we couldn't see. And so they did that.
Somebody else knows it.
Exactly. It's like, what, do you guys notice anything that we've missed because we've been looking at the painting too long, you don't see all the details.
Right.
Someone new looks at the painting or the puzzle, look at a puzzle too long, you can't find the right piece. Somebody new looks at the puzzle and puts the piece in right away.
Yeah.
That's, in my mind, that's the most plausible theory, is that NASA's just like, at this point, we don't know what to do with this, so let's just release it and see what the populace does with it.
I'd be interested in knowing why they chose to release it.
I would too, but those are my three theories.
Yeah. I know. I hear your theory, but I'm wondering what the real answer is. Like, why?
I don't know. I cannot answer that.
Because, I mean, they're the military. They could have easily, you never saw this, it never happened.
Right.
Sort of thing. But, it's interesting.
I mean, but they couldn't at this point, because there's been so many leaks of UFO pictures and videos.
Yeah, but they've never actually come right out and said, yes. They've often said, no, it's a fake. Not ours. We don't know where that came from.
Right.
Now they're actually coming out and saying, yeah, Navy servicemen.
Well, nobody believed them when they said no, and the camera was very obviously an official Air Force. Yeah. That plane cockpit only exists in the U.S. Air Force.
But they're saying things. They're saying things now like, well, it was caught not only on radar, but by visual cameras, by infrared cameras. Satellites at the same time noticed something. They're like showing that multiple sensors picked up these things. So they're basically actually confirming that, yeah, there was something there at this time. We have no idea what it was. So it's a little bit more than just releasing one video from one camera that somebody took. It's like,
and that's why I think the third option is the most plausible. Is they're very indirectly giving people like a, hey, here's the information that we know, here's all this stuff, have at it, go theorize, see if you can come up with anything. We'll be slowly monitoring all of the, if anything pops up with UFOs, or I took the NASA's UFO videos and did this and found this thing, oh, that's something we should look into, grab that, hire that guy,
Yeah, I mean, that's actually not a bad theory.
Because, I mean, it would make sense because game companies do that a lot.
What, put things out and... What do they do?
They put pieces of things or snippets or sneak peeks, or even some game companies have put out, like, entire incomplete games and just said, this was a project we never ended up finishing on it, but here is some of the super base source code because we're not going to use it anymore.
Yeah.
And then tracked who used it and who did stuff with it, and hired them and had them help on their next big release. So it's a thing that happens is companies will put out, we aren't using this anymore, we aren't doing this is just something we don't know what to do with, and then watch and see what people do with it. It's like a social experiment.
Well, that could be.
Can you do anything with this? How do you react to this? Especially for NASA, can you do anything with this? Do you see anything that we haven't seen? I think that would be a big part of it.
That's not a bad theory. Yeah, I don't know. Just interesting.
So, that's what I think about UFOs.
What do you think about Bigfoot?
What do I think about Bigfoot?
Yeah.
I think I know somebody who is extraordinarily convinced that there are many of them, colonies of them, existing out there in the wild.
Okay.
Me personally, I don't know. Part of me is here's what part of my problem with all the Bigfoot stuff is that there is a lot of people and stories and just word of mouth. This is what I've seen, this is what I've seen, this is what I've experienced. Like a surprisingly overwhelming amount of that. There's entire podcasts and video series and documentaries and people dedicate their lives to trying to find this thing.
Right.
But the one inconsistency I find that just kind of turns me off of the whole possibility that this thing is even out. Has this thing been out there in the past? Totally, possibly.
Yeah.
Like it's very, very possible that this thing has existed in the past.
Okay.
And there are, people could easily find evidence that this thing used to exist. But every story that I have heard of people experiencing it, or people saying they've caught it on camera, or people interacting, or all of this other stuff, it always comes down to the footage was lost. I wasn't able to find that place again. I couldn't find my way back. When I went there again, they weren't there, and it was like nothing had been there in the first place.
I see. No.
It's like there is with the consistency throughout all of these stories. There's a surprising consistency for the descriptions of Bigfoot, but one of the main consistencies through all of these stories is that it is impossible for people to retrace their steps, which I just cannot believe. Yeah. We have so much technology, so much intuition, especially with the amount that these people say they've been hiking, or they're professional this or they're professional that, being unable to retrace your steps and find where you were, or somehow consistently losing video footage if it was on your house security camera, and then when you tried to upload it got corrupted or something like that. It is either way too convenient or just completely improbable that it's like, how, if you are a nature trail expert and you ended up getting stranded this one time and saved by Bigfoot and was able to find civilization again, how would you not able to find your way back? You are a nature trail expert. Why can you not find your way back to where you were?
Yeah, I mean, Ever heard of GPS?
Exactly.
I mean, I hear you. I kind of hear you on that one. It's like, yeah.
Take a team of people, go out, even if you cannot find the actual animal itself, find those things that you described, find those claw marks, find that campsite that you had.
Yeah.
You know, find a footprint. But being unable to go back and see anything, there is no backtracking in any of these stories, and that's what really turns me off of the whole idea.
I think there are definitely a lot of species of animals on this planet that we still haven't discovered.
Oh yeah, we're always discovering new ones. Yeah,
right. I think that's totally possible. But this particular one, I too have a hard time acknowledging it could be real because of all that. It's like we don't have any clear pictures in the how many decades, of this sort of thing. So, even these images now of these supposed UFOs, it's like with all our technology and ability to take pictures and stuff, we got nothing that's clear on any of these.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. So I think it's almost like a game. Like you're saying, let's put these out there and see what people say. Interesting. Well, we'll find out.
All right, I think we should wrap it up for today.
I think so.
All right.
Wow, it's 12 already?
Yeah.
That went quick.
It did. It went by really quick this week.
It went really quick. Wow. And we only talked about 4 things. Well, okay.
We talked about quite a few things. I'm going to try and go locate those philosophy questions for next time.
Okay.
See if I can track those down. It shouldn't be too hard because it was at the end of one of the episodes. I
will make it a point to try to learn Morse code so Mouse and I can finish our keep talking and nobody blows up game.
Finishing it, that'd be impressive.
Yes. We shall conquer it. We were actually getting a system down.
You were. It's
like, okay,
you guys were. I don't know if it's because you played Portal together, so you had a better idea of how to communicate with each other, or what. But the communication in that was picked up much quicker than trying to solve the puzzles in Portal.
Yeah.
You haven't even finished Portal yet. You still got some of the levels.
Oh, we still have those 3 levels at the end or something?
Yeah.
3 special extra levels?
Yeah.
We'll have to do that too. All right. Well, I think we wasted enough of people's lives tonight.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Stream of Consciousness, a Rubber Mushroom podcast. We hope
72
you
minutes
enjoyed.
of your life you'll never get back.
But hopefully it was time well spent.
Time spent, anyway.
Oh, come on, give yourself some credit. You're not ever gonna sell this podcast and get people to listen if you keep saying it's horrible and a waste of time.
I'm not trying to sell it.
Why not?
I don't know. Never really occurred to me.
So it's the thing that you do weekly, and you're just like, nah, I don't really want to tell people about this thing that I do.
I don't know. I guess. I really want to start a different podcast, I think. I was actually thinking about this.
Okay.
I don't know if I should release this yet, though. Maybe I shouldn't say this on the air yet.
Why not?
No, I think I'm going to hold this idea back.
All right.
I have a different idea for a different podcast. Now, that one I could really get into. Okay. That'll be a topic for another night, maybe.
That'll be a topic for another night at some point. At the very least, you got to share the idea with me off stream.
Maybe.
Oh, come on.
Good idea. Could be a good idea, or it could go south really bad. Okay, enough.
That's the fun of it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be back next week, same time. Be sure to subscribe, to follow, to
this
know...
amazing podcast that you don't want to miss anytime.
Yes, and at some point this channel is going to be used to upload other podcasts that are slowly in the works, but dang, I'm busy and haven't had time to produce them yet.
I know it.
So that will be happening. So subscribe, check the links out in the description, coffeeunderstands.coffee, turtlecube.com. And yeah, we will catch you next week. Bye.
All right. Bye.